Hi everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use an HC-SR501 PIR motion sensor with the quantum system. So let's get started. The HC-SR501 is a passive infrared sensor that allows you to sense the motion of an object within the sensor's range by detecting infrared radiation. The white dome-shaped cover over the sensor acts as a lens that focuses the surrounding IR radiation into the sensor and gives it a wider cone-shaped detection range. Once the infrared radiation of an object, such as a human, animal, or vehicle passing, is detected, the sensor will produce a high signal in response to the motion. The signal can be used to trigger a certain action of other components. The sensor has 3 pins that you will need to connect to your builder base. The first pin is your ground, the middle pin is your signal pin, and the last pin is your power, which will go to 5 volts on the builder base. The sensor has 2 adjustable controls. The first one adjusts the sensitivity of the sensor that allows it to sense movement from 3 to 7 meters away. You can turn it clockwise to increase the range and counterclockwise to decrease the range. The second control adjusts the time delay of the sensor. This determines how long the output of the sensor will remain high after it detects motions. You can adjust the delay between 3 seconds to 5 minutes. Turn the control clockwise to increase the time delay and counterclockwise to decrease it. Lastly, we will look at the jumper cap on the sensor that controls the trigger mode. When the jumper cap is at the L position, the mode is set up as unrepeated trigger mode, which means that when the module is outputting a high signal because it detects motion, it will not be triggered again even if another motion is detected. When the cap is in the H position, the module is set up as repeated trigger mode, which means the delaying time will be recalculated when the second motion is detected during its delaying time. To change the trigger modes, just replace the jumper cap to cover either the L or the H pin. We also have documentation, which I'll link in the video description below, with more information about the HC-SR501 and how to use it with our system, so make sure to check it out as well. Now that we have a better understanding of how the HC-SR501 PIR sensor works, let's go ahead and create our circuit. We'll be following this schematic here. So the first thing I want to have is the motion sensor. Now by looking at the back of this, you can see there's 3 pins. From left to right, you will have your ground, your signal, and then your power. And then you'll notice you have the jumper cap here. Currently it's on L, but for our demo that we're going to do later, I want it on H. So I'm going to adjust the cap just like that. And then you can also see that we have the 2 controls here. We have the sensitivity and the time delay. So I'm not going to mess with those right now. You guys can have it configured however you would like for whatever project you're doing. But for now, let's go ahead and connect this to our builder base. So I want to bring in 3 male to female jumper wires here. First one I want to connect is our black wire for the ground, which will be to the one on our left here. And then next, I'm going to bring in a green male to female jumper wire, and we're going to put that one in the middle pin, which is our signal. And then lastly, we're going to take a red male to female jumper wire, and we're going to connect that to our right pin, which is going to be our power, which goes to 5 volts. Now let's go ahead and bring in our builder base, and we're going to connect the wires accordingly. So the first wire I'm going to attach is going to be our ground. So go ahead and grab your black wire, connect that to any ground terminal on your builder base. Next, go ahead and take your signal wire and connect that to a GP terminal on your builder base. It can be any one that you would like to use. Just make sure you assign that to the right terminal when you create the firmware file. For this video, I'm going to be using GP0. And then lastly, I'm going to take our power jumper wire and then connect that to the 5 volt terminal on our builder base. So it'll look a little bit something like this. Now that's it for our circuit. Let's go ahead and power on our builder base and then go to our Q server to complete the setup. All right, now that we're on our Q server, let's go ahead and pair that builder base that we just powered on. Go over to the Clients tab, and then go to the Unpaired tab, and then you'll see your builder base pop up. Go ahead and click the actions for it, and then select Pair. Once your client is paired, go ahead and click the Setup button. For the name, we're going to name this PIR sensor. And then for location, we'll just pick a random one. I'll pick the studio. And then now I'll click save. And then now our builder base with the motion sensor is paired. Now let's go ahead and create the firmware. So go over to your firmware tab, click create new, and then we'll name this one PIR sensor, click create. Now we want to add hardware. So since this is a PIR motion sensor, what we're going to need is the motion sensor hardware file. There we go. And then I'm just going to name this one PIR sensor to keep everything similar. And then go ahead and click add hardware. Once you do that, go ahead and click the drop down. Now for the driver, we're going to select HC-SR501 Motion Sensor. So go ahead and select that one. And for the pin, I connected that to GP0. So I'm going to select that one. Make sure you select the one that you used. And then go ahead and click save. Once it's saved, go to the actions. And we're going to upload that to our builder base. So now go to the client drop down and then select the one that we named PIR sensor. And then click upload. Now while that's uploading, let's go ahead and create the application for this. So I'm going to quit out of that real quick. Go over to the apps tab. Now we're going to create a new app. We're just going to name this PIR sensor. Click create. And now the first thing we want to do is drag the hardware onto our canvas. So it's a motion sensor object. So we'll drag this one out. So for this first demo, we're going to keep it pretty simple. We just want to know on our dashboard when this sensor is triggered. So all we need to do is drag out that motion sensor hardware object. The next one we want is the debug interface object. And then go ahead and connect the two just like that. And then also for the label, we can also change this to PIR sensor. You can go ahead and change the name as well. Click Save Properties. And then let's also go do the same for the hardware object. So there we go. And click Save Properties. Now this is just the first demo. We'll do another little bit more elaborate one afterwards. But let's go ahead and save this app. Go to Return to My Apps. Now we're going to run our app. First, we're going to need to map that PIR sensor motion sensor hardware object in our application to our PIR sensor builder base with that hardware file. So go ahead and select that one. And now click Save and Run. Now go ahead and click your dashboard. Go to the application. And then there we go. Now we have our PIR sensor with the debug giving us different values. Now you can see it's off. All right, I'm just going to hold it here until it turns off. There we go. Now I'm going to put my hand in front. There we go. And it's on, off. Put my hand away. On, off. Now this is also going to vary because we haven't adjusted our time delay and sensitivity. So if there's a little bit of a delay between the motion and your readings on the dashboard is because you need to adjust your time delay a little bit. So that's just a quick and easy demo. The next thing we want to do is use a PIR sensor. And then when it's motion activated, we're going to have it turn on this hue light bulb that we have here on our little stand. So to do that, let's go ahead and go back to our Q server and then create this application. So now that we're back on our Q server, let's go ahead and quit out of the dashboard. Now we're on the Q server. Let's go ahead and stop this app. Now the first thing we need to do is we have to connect our Hue gateway to our Q server so we can control the Hue light bulb. If you don't have a Hue setup device, that's fine. What you can actually do is also use a different type of light connected to another builder base to do this as well. You can use a WS2812 RGB LED strip, which I did a video on before. I'll link that in the video description below for you to check out if you want to try with that. I like to use the Hue lights because this one's a little bit more practical. So first thing we need to do is go to our library. Well, you can see here in our gateways tab, we don't have any of our gateways downloaded. So I want you to go to our library and then go to gateways. And we're going to find our Philips Hue gateway. We're going to download that. And then when we go back to our gateways, you can see now that the Hue gateway is here. We're going to go to Actions. We're going to click Start. And now we have to do the configurations. I also did a tutorial video on this, so if you don't know how to do this, you can just follow this step. Or if you want a little bit more detail, go ahead and check it out. I'll also link that in the video description below. Anyways, here we are. We have to configure the hue. It's got its IP address already loaded into this. Now, if I do click next, what's going to happen is it's going to tell me I didn't link the hue bridge. So let's go ahead and do that. Make sure you go ahead and click that link button on your bridge, just like that, as you can hear it. And then once you do that, go ahead and click next. And then now it works. And then the username information for your hue bridge should already be automatically uploaded to this. So go ahead and just click next again. And now that's the configuration. Go ahead and click activate. Now that we have that running, what you'll see happen next is when we go to our clients tab, you can see all of our hue devices that are already linked to that hue bridge will come up as a client device. So I have a few different hue bulbs already connected. We'll only be using one, which already knows lamp 2. You just need to keep track of those. And then now let's go back to our application. I'm going to go to edit. Now that we're back here, let's go ahead and get rid of this debug interface object. So now we just have our motion sensor here. Let's go ahead and bring out the next hardware object, which is going to be the light hardware object, which is going to go to the hue bulb. Now let's give this one a name. I'm just going to name it hue bulb. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and drag the PIR sensor to the on-off port on that light object. As you can see, I didn't save properties, so let's go ahead and do that again. All right, there we go, and save properties. And then also there's a multi-mapping feature, so you don't have to use one hardware object per bulb. You just turn this guy on, and then you can map multiple hue bulbs to this one object, so you can control multiple hue bulbs in a room, for example. So it's not just one. But now let's continue. Let's go ahead and also add in stuff to control the dim portion, the RGB color, and the color temperature. So for the dim, you need a % slider. So let's go ahead and drag one of those out. Then we're going to take that, drag it over here. And then we're going to give this a name. Let's just call it dim. We'll also label it so we can see it in our interface on our dashboard, and then go ahead and click Save Properties. And then the next one for the RGB color, we need the color picker interface object. So drag that one out. There we go. And then drag that to that port. Again, let's go ahead and label this one RGB color. And then same with the label. There we go. And then lastly, color temperature is another %. So let's go ahead and drag another one of those out. This one we'll name color temp. Also label it. And then click Save Properties. And then go ahead and drag that to the color temp port. So the thing about the RGB color and the color temperature, the difference between those is this one will allow you to pick different RGB based colors. However, the color temperature just gives you colors based on warmth. So it's more from like a white light to a more orange tint light. However, you can only use one of these at a time. So we'll have both for now so we can demonstrate it. However, you can only use one, depends what you are trying to use it for. Typically for lights, you want to mess around with the color temperature more than RGB color, but that's up to you. So that's our app. Let's go ahead and save our app. Go to Return to Your Apps, click Save and Run. Now we're going to have to map that hue bulb to the light hardware object. So go ahead and select that. And under Clients, I know this bulb is called Hue Color Lamp 2, so I'm going to select that one. If you turn on that multi-mapping process, you'll have a button here where you can add more clients, where you can map more hue bulbs to that one hardware object. But we're just using one, so go ahead and click Done, and then Save and Run. Now that our app is running, let's go ahead and go to our dashboard, and then click PIR Sensor. And now we have our different adjustable interface objects that we added to the light hardware objects. So go ahead and, all right, so it's already running, so it's going to be turning on and off here. However, I want to change the dim settings a little bit. So I don't want it too bright so I don't blind myself. There we go, put it at 30%. So RGB color, if you want to use an RGB color, go ahead and pick one on the slider. Just pick one, click save, see it turns red. Say you want purple or something. There you go. However, I like to use the color temp. So as you can see, this one's a little bit more of a white light, but if I go to the other end, it's a little bit more of an orange light, which is a little bit more warmer. Put it right in the middle though. Yeah, that looks about good. Yeah, this looks about right. Okay, now that we have that going, the next thing we have to do is adjust our time delay, which we didn't do earlier. This one takes a little bit of finessing, depends how long you want to go for. Again, like I said before, it ranges between 3 seconds to 5 minutes. All you have to do is turn this one knob counterclockwise to shorten the delay, or clockwise to extend the delay. So, well, I have it right now all the way short, but say I want a little bit longer, go ahead and just turn it clockwise. There you go, just like that. And now so it triggers, it will stay on for that time that you set the time delay to. It really depends what you want to use it for. But anyways, I'm just going to hold it here till that time delay turns it off, and then we'll re-trigger it again just to see it working. All right, now that it's turned off, let's go ahead and turn it on again. And there you go, it's turned on, then went off. And then turn it on, there you go, turned it off. So the thing about these sensors is even though it's set to the high re-trigger mode, what happens though is it won't stay on and then you trigger it and then it'll stay on again. It'll turn off and then you have to re-trigger it and then it'll turn on. So it's a bit of a problem, so you kind of want to adjust the time delay. As you can see, I put my hand in front, bulb stays on, then it's off. Say I'm trying to re-trigger it. It's not doing anything for a few seconds, but now it is again. That's just the little delay it has on the motion sensor. It's just something you have to play around with. So if you want to use this for a room, what you need to do is adjust your time delay so it stays on a high setting a little bit longer than you would usually use the room for. So if you're using the bathroom or something in the middle of the night, you can have it turn on, but you probably want give it a few extra minutes depending what you're doing, or if you're using this for another room too. So this is just one demo. What you can use it for, you can create motion activated lights for your room. But this motion sensor can also be used to trigger a bunch of different components using the quantum system. Just another example is you can use this motion sensor to text you using the Twilio SMS service that we have on our Q server. If there's motion detected in a certain room, even if it's armed or not armed, that's just how you program it. There's a bunch of other applications for it too. I'm excited to see what you guys will do with this. If you do make something cool with this, be sure to share it with us. We're always excited to see what you guys have built with this. So lastly, I want to show you all this 3D printed case that we made to go with our HC-SR501 PIR sensor and a builder base. So this thing just contains all the stuff we just made into one little box where it's easily mountable onto a wall or wherever you choose to put it. It's a little bit, again, it's a little bit more contained compared to this guy, so it'll look nicer. You just have the case, you open it up, you have your builder base right here screwed to the back, and then you have your sensor screwed to the front. So yeah, we'll be including the STL file for this so you can print it yourself and use it. It'll be in the documentation that I'll have linked in the video description. So that's how you use the HC-SR501 motion sensor with the quantum system. Make sure you check out those links in the video description below for more information about this component as well as the other associated links I mentioned earlier. So I hope you enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.